Salem, West Virginia. A town steeped in history, shrouded in mist, and haunted by whispers of the past. Its streets, lined with historical buildings, tell tales of a bygone era where every brick and stone holds a story waiting to be uncovered. Looming on the outskirts, shrouded by ancient oaks and strangled by ivy, stands the abandoned Salem General Hospital. This imposing structure, once a symbol of hope and healing, now stands as a silent sentinel to the town's darker days. A once beacon of hope, now a decaying monument to suffering and fear. The walls, now crumbling and overgrown, have absorbed the cries of countless souls, each echoing through the empty halls. The building exhales a palpable chill, a ghostly breath that seems to seep into your bones. Every step taken within its confines feels heavy, as if the very air is laden with the weight of its tragic past. Built in the early 1900s, the hospital has borne witness to decades of pain, despair, and death. Its corridors, once bustling with life, now lie silent, save for the occasional creak of old floorboards and the distant echo of forgotten memories. Locals speak of it with a hushed reverence, their voices barely above a whisper. They share stories passed down through generations, each tale more chilling than the last, painting a picture of a place where the past refuses to rest. They tell tales of strange occurrences, unexplained noises, and fleeting glimpses of spectral figures. Lights that flicker without reason, shadows that move of their own accord, and the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The hospital, they say, is a place where the veil between our world and the next wears thin. It's a place where the boundaries blur and the spirits of the past seem to linger, unable or unwilling to move on. The air grows heavy as you approach the main entrance, the rusted iron gates standing open like a predator's jaws. Each step closer feels like a journey into the unknown, where the past and present collide in a haunting dance. The stench of decay hangs thick in the air, a gruesome reminder of the building's grim history. The walls, covered in peeling paint and graffiti, tell stories of neglect and abandonment, each room a testament to the passage of time. The windows, most shattered or boarded up, stare down like empty sockets, daring you to enter and face the darkness within. They are the eyes of the building, watching, waiting, and holding secrets that may never be fully revealed. The stories began subtly, whispers among the townsfolk. Patients complained of cold spots and strange occurrences. Objects moved inexplicably. Whispers and moans seemed to emanate from empty rooms. Nurses, hardened by years of witnessing suffering, reported seeing shadowy figures lurking in hallways and at the foot of beds. One tale, whispered more frequently than others, involves a former patient, a young woman named Mary. Mary, they say, died under mysterious circumstances, her death shrouded in rumor and speculation. Some whisper of medical malpractice, others of a broken heart. Whatever the cause, Mary's spirit, it seems, never left the hospital. Visitors and trespassers claim to have seen her, a fleeting figure in a white gown, drifting down the corridors. Her anguished sobs, they say, can sometimes be heard echoing through the empty halls, a chilling reminder of her untimely demise. Pause 3s. But the story of Room 302 doesn't end with Mary's tragic tale. Over the years, more chilling accounts have emerged. One such story involves a seasoned nurse named Helen, who worked the night shift. Helen was known for her no-nonsense attitude and her skepticism of the supernatural. One night, as she made her rounds, she noticed that the door to room 302 was slightly ajar. Thinking it was a mistake, she went to close it. As she reached for the door, it slammed shut with a force that sent her stumbling backward. The lights in the hallway flickered, and for a brief moment, she saw a shadowy figure standing just inside the room. Helen never spoke of that night again, but she transferred to the day shift shortly after. Another spine-chilling story comes from a maintenance worker named Joe. Joe had been called in to fix a plumbing issue in room 302. As he worked under the sink, he heard a soft humming, a lullaby that seemed to come from nowhere. He stood up, shining his flashlight around the room, but saw nothing. The humming grew louder, and as he turned to leave, he felt a cold hand grip his shoulder. Joe bolted from the room, leaving his tools behind. He never returned to the hospital. These stories are just a few of the many that surround room 302. Each one adds to the legend, painting a picture of a place where the past refuses to stay buried, where the walls themselves seem to whisper of the horrors they have witnessed. The echoes of room 302 continue to haunt those who dare to enter, a chilling reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. Room 302. A number that sends chills down the spine of anyone who hears it. Even the bravest soul in Salem speaks of this room with a tremor in their voice. It's not just a room, it's a legend, a place where fear takes on a life of its own. It was here that Mary, a nurse during the early 1900s, breathed her last. Her tragic end was the beginning of the room's dark history. It is here that her presence is most strongly felt, a lingering spirit that refuses to move on. The air in the room is perpetually cold, no matter the season. It's as if the room itself is frozen in time, a chilling reminder of the past. The faint scent of lavender, Mary's favourite, lingers in the air, a ghostly perfume that sends shivers down your spine. It's a scent that shouldn't be there, yet it is, as if Mary herself is still tending to the room. Those who dare to enter often speak of a feeling of being watched, of an unseen presence brushing past them. It's an eerie sensation, as if eyes are following your every move, even though the room appears empty. Objects move on their own, seemingly guided by an invisible hand. Chairs scrape across the floor, beds creak, and personal items shift positions, all without any visible cause. The door slams shut without reason, trapping unsuspecting visitors in the room with Mary's tormented spirit. It's a terrifying experience, one that leaves a lasting impression on those who survive it. One chilling account tells of a group of teenagers who, fueled by bravado and morbid curiosity, decided to spend the night in the abandoned hospital. They had heard the stories, but they wanted to see for themselves. They made their way to room 302, laughing nervously, trying to mask their fear. As the night wore on, their laughter faded, replaced by a growing sense of dread. They didn't last the night. The room's oppressive atmosphere, the inexplicable cold, and the constant feeling of being watched proved too much for them. They fled, leaving behind their belongings and their bravado, forever changed by their encounter with the spectre of room 302. Mrs. Eleanor Vance, a retired nurse from Salem General, finally broke her silence about room 302. For years, she had kept the eerie experience to herself, fearing disbelief. But now, in her twilight years, she felt compelled to share the chilling tale. Her voice, usually warm, was thin and strained as she recounted her experience. The memories seemed to weigh heavily on her. She had always been the pillar of strength for her patients, but this story revealed a vulnerability she rarely showed. She had been working the night shift when she heard a soft sobbing from room 302. The sound was faint but unmistakable, a heart-wrenching cry that echoed through the empty corridors. The room had been empty for weeks since the tragic passing of Mary, a young woman who had succumbed to a mysterious illness. The room had been left untouched, a silent memorial to her memory. Heart pounding, she slowly pushed open the door. The creak of the hinges seemed to echo in the stillness, amplifying her growing sense of dread. The room was dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of lavender. It was a scent that Mary had loved, often using lavender oil to calm her nerves during her illness. And there, sitting on the edge of the bed, was Mary. Her figure was faint, almost translucent, but unmistakable. She wore the same hospital gown she had died in. Mrs. Vance froze, her breath catching in her throat. She had seen many things in her years as a nurse, but nothing like this. Mary looked up, her eyes filled with deep sadness. And for a moment, their eyes met. It was as if Mary was trying to communicate something, a message from beyond the grave. Then, just as quickly as she had appeared, Mary vanished, leaving behind only the faint scent of lavender and a chill that seemed to seep into Mrs. Vance's very bones. The room was empty once more, but the experience had left an indelible mark on Mrs. Vance's soul. The silence of the abandoned hospital is a living thing. It presses in on you, suffocating, amplifying every creak and groan of the dying building. It is in this silence that the footsteps are heard most clearly. Slow, deliberate footsteps echoing down the empty corridors, unaccompanied by any human form. Some dismiss it as the wind whistling through the broken windows, or the settling of the old building. But those who have heard the footsteps know better. They know that the hospital is home to something more, something unseen that walks among the living, its presence announced by the slow, steady rhythm of its ghostly gait. Not all the spirits that haunt Salem General are malevolent. Some, like the young boy, who is said to roam the pediatric ward, seem to carry a sense of childlike wonder and mischief. His laughter, high-pitched and innocent, can sometimes be heard echoing through the halls, sending chills down the spines of those who hear it. Some believe the boy to be the spirit of a young patient who died during surgery, his laughter a lingering echo of happier times. Others believe he is simply a playful entity, drawn to the hospital's residual energy. Whatever the truth, the sound of his laughter is both eerie and strangely comforting, a reminder that even in the darkest of places, a spark of innocence can remain. Until next time, Ms. Spooky signing off.